Hello and welcome to episode number 7 of this Bootstrapped Life. I'm currently in Vancouver, as you might notice from the background change again. I'll be in SF on Sunday, so next week's video will be normal. It's gonna be a shorter video, there's not a whole lot. I've mostly been doing maintenance. I've obviously been seeing people on this trip, so I've been kind of focused on relationships in that way. But there's still a few things on the business side. I'm in the middle of wrapping up this one project for a client that I was doing quite a bit of individual contributor style work for. So once that's done, I will have one less project where I have to carve out these multi-hour blocks to do that style of work for. What I've noticed is that I can only really handle 1 to 2 clients at a time that have feature work or implementation work that I do myself. So this other client that I just mentioned that I'm finishing the project for, what's nice is that as soon as I wrap up this feature work, I'll switch over to being a technical advisor. So that kind of work is different in that I can slot in half-hour chunks here and there to review, for example, code or other decisions and provide guidance there. So it's going to be a little bit easier and a little less stressful on me. So I'm excited to be able to keep focusing. I think as I kind of mentioned last week, I am trying to focus more and niche down over time. And I think really this, as I get back to SF, this chapter 2 is what I'm calling it of living in SF, is going to be all around focus. I think chapter 1, those first few months in SF, was around meeting people and getting integrated in the community and kind of finding my place in the city. I feel quite established now and integrated, and I've met a lot of people in that time. I think I've probably met 150 plus or minus people now. So I want to deepen those relationships that I want to go deeper on these next few months, and again in this chapter 2 phase, and then afterwards, maybe view it as like a cyclical thing where I can once again in chapter 3, for example, get back to relationship building. So that's kind of what's going on the business side right now. It's a little simple, I was gonna say. Not too many updates just because I'm still traveling. One other thing was that I had to make a difficult decision to not move forward with one of the hires that I was considering, not because of anything related to them, but just because I realized that I had to be a little more conservative, both with the business and my time. It is a lot to onboard people, and I also just want to, it's fairer for both people if the business itself is in a really good position. And I think that what I've learned, as I mentioned last week, is that I want to really figure out our offering a little more clearly before I go ahead and expand again. I think right now what's nice is that with the current team, the 4 of us, we fit quite different skill sets and we're quite complementary, which is great. And so I don't want to overlap too much until I really know exactly what's going to be more scalable over time and I think more profitable. Right now we're solid and we're going to be fine for a long time as is, but I just want to make sure we have a really sturdy foundation before continuing to grow and move ahead on those fronts. So hence this chapter 2 of focus. So that's the business side right now. On the personal side, I've been loving Vancouver. I spent 6 years living in this city while I was a student at UBC. So I have my parts of the city that I kind of come back to that I just love. For example, Stanley Park. I actually just ran, it's like a little over 10 kilometers when you do the outer perimeter of Stanley Park with the seawall. I just did that and grabbed some boba afterwards. Pretty nice. And I had poutine earlier today from La Belle Patate, which is solid. It does the job. It's like has like the Montreal smoked brisket and stuff on top of the cheese curds and the gravy and fries and all that stuff. So very tasty. And then I have this week I've had like my hot pot and Korean barbecue, and my Mandarin teacher is also based in Vancouver. So whenever I'm in town, I usually go spend the day at her place, at her house, and we like maybe we'll do a little bit of gardening or we'll just kind of chat and kind of do our lesson in person, which is nice. And I often get a cooking lesson, which is cool because she does like northern style Chinese food. Otherwise, that's pretty much what's been going on this week. I'm going to be in Seattle this weekend and then back to SF. So that's this week's episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.